Kia ora, this is set 4192, The Fountain of Youth from the LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean line, which released in 2011 for the release of the latest movie On Stranger Tides. This was the first Pirates of the Caribbean set that I ever purchased, and I was lucky enough to have it a day early thanks to a store employee who I guess just really liked my frequent business. Back in the day it was only $50 NZD, now it's around 180. The set overview here is the third act sequence from the film, depicted here in a $50 set. We have a fountain and a waterfall and a few extra minifigures as well. It is a very cool nostalgic set that, while I think is solid and well designed, the creative liberties here are pretty drastic when you start to really break the set down. It does end up looking pretty unrecognizable from its source material. Let's get into why. We start with the main attraction here, which is the Fountain of Youth itself. This is the main destination and goal throughout the entirety of the movie, so it's really cool to see that LEGO made it into a nice affordable set. The build is a pretty bulky green and tan surface with some blues used at the base to resemble some water. The fountain is a tall structure that's built out of some trans blue elements, and the water spurting up at the top is on a printed dial piece. Really nice details there. As some extras, we have a corpse and the map that was featured in At World's End and at the beginning of On Stranger Tides, though its placement in the scene doesn't occur here in the movie because it's burned and destroyed at around the midway point of the movie. For a kid's LEGO set, I think it looks really cool, but for a design accurate look to the source material, it's completely different. In the movie, it's a circular rock formation and the water is dripping down from the roof of those rocks. Since these sets were designed to release alongside the movie, it is very highly likely that the designs were changed in their concept art during the production, which is even more evident once we get to the minifigures. Still, it works really nicely as a set despite this flaw. Here we have the waterfall build, which is also a really great addition and could be open to interpretation on the accuracy, at least in my opinion. The waterfall here in the set is believed to be the entrance into the Fountain of Youth, which in the movie is depicted as a portal that's up on the roof, and our characters kind of jump and fly into it. Here we can see that it's just a waterfall behind a wall structure. To me though, this also resembles the scene where the Spanish army arrived through the mist. You can see the outlines of what looks to be, at least to me, the same columns that are featured here in the set, and the waterfall would be that misty spot that's kind of in the middle of the screen. No Spanish army figures were included in the set, mind you, just something that I was kind of thinking about, and I thought it might be neat to kind of point it out. The waterfall is depicted through the use of a plastic sheet with some splits to resemble an uneven pattern of water. It gives off that extra depth of resemblance to a working waterfall rather than just a plastic backdrop. One of the best features of the set in my opinion. I love old tombs in LEGO, and the use of the Atlantis columns immediately catches my eyes. It even includes that keystone piece, which was only used in a handful of sets total, and despite not being able to be used here for keystone usage, it adds to the old rigid design of these columns. The rest of the build is made up of some earth tone pieces in the rock formation. Greens and browns and greys that are used all throughout, some seaweed here as well to imply an overgrown nature. Together the pieces make for a nice ensemble scene despite not matching that pirate source material. A really nice playset that fits well with other LEGO themes like Atlantis and Adventures. Captain Jack Sparrow is featured in all of the sets and mentioned on this channel before. He includes the silver chalices as an accessory. You get 2 of them in the set. The chalices, real quick, a little bit of a disappointment. LEGO have always had a tough time at deciding what does and doesn't get to be a special new molded piece and what just gets to be represented as a default piece here. Sometimes a character's weapon, like a sword, is so specific in the movie that it will get its own special design. I'm thinking Sting. Sometimes character specific firearms can simply be represented with the same piece used time and time and time again. I'm thinking the Alien Conquest pistol. The silver chalices in the movie have a really cool unique design to them that almost look as though it's the wine glass that LEGO would sometimes use on the occasion. They are silver in the movie in colouring, and they have a really cool gold pattern around the rim there. LEGO used just 2 generic gold cups for the set, which is unfortunate because I would have liked to have seen some new pieces here used. Jack Sparrow is one of my favourite minifigures of all time. His torso details and special hair mold that are used only for him make him stand out amongst other Disney minifigures. He features a new face print compared to the last set that I looked at, where he features a slight smile and a scared look. Here he is compared to one of the other better variants of him in his brown coat, another favourite figure for that hair hat combo. Swapping over these 2 hair pieces makes 2 more variants that were frequently shown on screen in the movies. LEGO themselves never made variants of him like this as far as I'm aware. Barbossa here is the only true exclusive minifigure in the set, and looking very different compared to the last minifigure that we looked at of him. Here he has a peg leg, British Army attire, and a new Admiral hat. I like the printing used a lot for those blues and the golds, and he still has the cool little satchel piece with that split for holding onto swords. Very nice inclusion, though I wish he included his cane. Blackbeard was not an exclusive minifigure in the set, but he was one that was highly sought after, because the only other inclusion was the most expensive set at the time of release. He's a very cool minifigure with a lot going on. He features a bigger piece for his hat, with some special printing on it of a skull on top. In the movie though, he appears to be wearing a traditional tricorn hat and not this split-brimmed one, so again, a pretty hefty concept change. His angered expression adds to his menacing look, but more than that, his rubber beard piece, which even features his famous lit candles tactic. Blackbeard in legend would light these candles in his beard for fair theatrics in hopes of scaring his enemies, because he was insane. In the movie though, he does this only once, and it's his opening scene in the movie where he looks like he might have actually just quickly put them out before confronting his crew on camera. Otherwise in the movie, he's got a pretty tamed look to him, a much smaller beard in the movie too than in the set here. I'm actually more satisfied with this Legends look than I would the movies one, despite the inaccuracy going on here. It still makes for a really great looking minifigure. He also featured a very special rubberized sword, since in the movie his sword features magical powers and it's its own special unique design. LEGO thought it would be best to honor that instead of giving him a generic weapon. Great choice on LEGO's part, great minifigure overall. A really solid playset that, despite the shortcomings of the production team changing their designs midway through production, this actually really works for me. This is an occurrence that we've grown used to with LEGO, despite how much it still bothers me today. I believe inaccuracies are always worth mentioning for these LEGO reviews, but it's also worth always considering that inaccuracy doesn't immediately mean bad product. I really like what the set does and everything that's been included with it, and it's still one of my favorites of the line. If you enjoyed this review of an older LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean set, liking and subscribing does help to support this channel. Ka kite anō.